Manx Radio Sport.
A very warm welcome and welcome to Saturday Sport Classified on Manx Radio AM 1368. A chance to take a look through all the respective scores and stories across Isle of Man football, rugby and hockey across the Isle of Man and further afield. We have our correspondents ready and waiting to give us the details from throughout the day. But first off, and importantly, here are your classified sporting results for the Isle of Man for today, Saturday, the 21st of September. And they are as follows. We will start with football. The Canada Life Men's Premier League. Foxdale versus Ramsey awaiting result. Rushen United 1, St John's United 3. St Mary's 3, Moraun 0. Peel 4, Ayr United 4. Corinthians 5, Onken 2 is a latest result. And Union Mills 0, Laxey 5. In Ardern and Drug Unlimited Division 2. Castletown 3, Pulrose United 1. Colby 0, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys 1. Braddon 7, Governors Athletic 1. Michael United 5, Douglas Royal 0. In Canada Life Combination 1. Ramsey versus Foxdale awaiting result. St John's United 0, Rushen United 3. Moraun versus St Mary's awaiting result. Ayr United versus Peel awaiting result. Onken 6, Corinthians 3. Laxey 7, Union Mills 0. In Ardern and Drug Unlimited Combination 2. Pulrose United versus Castletown, a home walkover to Pulrose United. Douglas and District versus Douglas Athletic awaiting result. Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys versus Colby awaiting result. Douglas High School Old Boys versus Gyms awaiting result. Governors Athletic 3, Braddon 4. And Douglas Royal 1, Michael United 9. And just another update in the last few moments for Canada Life Combination 1. It finished... Canada Life Men's Premier League, my apologies, finished Foxdale 2, Ramsey 1. Those are your classified results in football. And now turning to rugby. The Regional 2 Northwest. Eccles 33, Douglas 28. In Counties 3 ADM, Lancashire Cheshire. Vagabonds 24, Garstang 42. Women's NC2 North-South Division. Lee versus Vagabonds Ladies awaiting result. The Manx Shield. Southern Nomads 24, Ramsey 30. And today in Isle of Man hockey. The Mixed Premier League. Harlequins A 5, Valkyries B 0. Backers A 8, Backers B 2. Valkyries A 1, Vikings B 0. Vikings A 4, Castletown Celts 2. In Mixed Division 1. Vikings D 2, Backers C 7. Vikings C 1, Valkyries C 3. Castletown Southerners 4, Ramsey A 1. In Mixed Division 2. Valkyries D 0, Harlequins B 7. Ramsey Ravens 1, Castletown Camags 4. Castletown Cushags 0, Backers Colts 0. Mixed Division 3. Vikings E 4, Backers Mixed Bucks 3. Backers D 1, Castletown Cosney 6. Harlequins C 3, Ramsey Rookies 1. In the Mixed Under-15s League. Castletown Sharks versus Valkyries awaiting result. Ramsey versus Harlequins awaiting result. Castletown Sabres 0, Vikings 2. Those are your classified sporting results for the Isle of Man for Saturday, the 21st of September. And indeed, just as we were bringing you those hockey updates, we've had a couple more results in sent to us. Thank you very much for sending those through. So just a reminder, if you missed it a couple of moments ago, we did get confirmation in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. It finished Foxdale 2, Ramsey 1. Jason Charmer with 2 goals for Foxdale in that game. We've also been issued a correction for Canada Life Combination 1. It finished Laxey 0, Union Mills 7. So that will mean that particular result is reversed from the result that we brought you earlier. So in front of us, the result that we had was indeed Laxey 7, Union Mills 0. It is in fact reverse. It is Laxey 0, Union Mills 7. Thank you very much for clarifying that for us. Any further details on scores that you may have heard there that are missing just at the moment, or looking to get scorers in, please do text us or WhatsApp us 166 177. We have also had a result come through in the Combination League, specifically Moran versus St Mary's in Canada Life Combination 1. It finished Moran 0, St Mary's 7. So that is another result in there. So if you've missed that, just the clarity there for those 2 results in Canada Life Combination 1. Moran 0, St Mary's 7, and Laxey 0, Union Mills 7. Well, to go through things, as ever, on what's been another busy day, and boy, has he been entertained down at Douglas Road earlier today in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. I know he's scribbling furiously some notes across the desk from me. Tony Mepham, you had to get here pretty sharpish. You probably haven't had a chance to catch breath today, have you?
Not at all, Rob. Been a terrific game, terrific afternoon. We knew we were taking a chance going out to Peel because tried to get back a couple of scores, but we got here. But no, terrific game, and I won't spoil the thunder for you because you want to bring it through. But point shared in the end, and a red card as well.
Indeed, we'll get to that in a moment. We'll start with the game at Billy Goat Park, the result that we just got through in the last couple of minutes in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. Ramsey, it's been a tough start to the season for them after a really strong previous campaign. It's just got a bit tougher. And another big result for Foxdale after being Division 2 champions last season, beating Ramsey by 2 goals to 1 at Billy Goat Park today.
Yeah, I don't know if you've got any information of goal scorers there, Rob, but certainly Jason Charmer got 1, I think.
He got 2, actually.
He got 2.
We don't have details of Ramsey's goal scorer, so if you could send that through, please, 166 177, Foxdale versus Ramsey in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. But we know Jason Charmer got the brace for Foxdale today and in fine form at the start of the season.
He's in fine form, and I know Blaine Slattery must be looking at his Ireland squad at the moment because they've got training sessions coming up shortly, and he must be on the radar because he's had a terrific start to the season. And when you look at the people up there alongside him, Jay Chatwood and Lee Gale, you think that the goals will be harder to find, but at the moment he seems to be the decoy, seems to be picking up and scoring plenty of goals, and well done to him. Super result that against Ramsey. And people are saying at the start of the season who's going to go down. Well, at the moment Foxdale, no chance. They're playing some really good football and scoring plenty of goals.
Indeed. Before we move on to the next game, full time at the Step Places Stadium, FC Isle of Man's unbeaten streak has been brought to an end. It's finished West Didsbury and Chorlton 2, FC Isle of Man 1. Tom Murray had put the hosts in front before half time. Jack McVeigh equalised with a well taken free kick 3 minutes after the restart, but Billy Matthews scoring in the latter stages of the game there for the hosts to see West Didsbury and Chorlton come away with all 3 points. So full time NWCFL Premier Division at West Didsbury and Chorlton 2, FC Isle of Man 1. Out to Croyt Lowy and St John's United visiting Russian United. St John's have picked up some big results so far this season, Tony, and it looks like they have done again today, beating Russian United by 3 goals to 1.
Yes, cracking result this one, and certainly Russian at home with the home crowd as well. Joe Kelly it was who got the goal for Russian, but for St John's it was Jensen Eve with 1. Jamie Crook scored another goal from the penalty spot. Dean Leese on the score sheet as well, and I believe Sam Ingham, the centre back, had to go in goal towards the end, I think due to a injury, but it didn't affect things, and St John's another 3 points on the board.
Well, for Andrew Moody, who we spoke to in pre-season, actually ahead of the Eric Fletcher Charity Shield, Tony, they've got big ambitions, as you would expect, of a club like Russian United, but it just hasn't quite worked out for them at the start of the season. They got that victory at struggling Moran last weekend, but what are they missing at the moment, do you think? It's
hard to say, because I looked at the team sheet for the team that they had out last week, and it looks very strong. I don't know whether, defensively they haven't quite got it together, but take nothing away from Russian today. St John's, I watched them a couple of weeks ago. Well, I watched them twice. I watched them against Union Mills as well. Showed great character because they trailed against Corinthians, then got back into it, and it was Corinthians who had to score the equaliser towards the end. And in the game against Union Mills, I just thought there's only one team in this, because Union Mills dominated that first half. But St John's dug deep, got it right in that second period, and got 3 goals in there. The form of Callum Taggart, I think, is massive for them. Dean Lees as well had a quiet game, first game of the season, but since then he's been scoring on a regular basis. And Jamie Crook as well, I watched him in the game against Union Mills, and he's obviously a big asset as well in front of goal. So St John's will be smart with that one, absolutely delighted with it, and rushing another defeat.
We've just had another result in. Thank you very much from Ardern and Drug Unlimited combination 2. Douglas High School Old Boys 10, Gyms 1 there. We'll get the details of those. We do have goal scorers and those. We'll go into a little more detail on that in a little bit. Well, the early kickoff saw St Mary's taking on a Moran side who don't have any points on the ball as it stands. They were looking for points today, but not to be. St Mary's getting things over the line, 3 goals and 3 points. St Mary's beating Moran by 3-0, Tony.
Yeah, and I think Joe Berquist it was who started it off. He got the first, and then Owen Canepa with his first goal of the season, I think, to make it 2. And then Joe Berquist got a second to make it a comfortable victory there for St Mary's. And as you say, Moran just struggling a little bit at the moment, but the players are there, there's no doubt about it. It's just getting them boys in front of goal to try and get them goals to get them out of danger.
Indeed, and then, Tony, the game you were at today, I think there was so many eyes on this one. The top 2 in the Canada Life Men's Premier League, last season's runners-up Peel and the champions the season before last, up against the current defending title holders Ayr United. Both these sides went to Douglas Road today with perfect records, all wins to start the season, and my word, Tony, did this game live up to the billing. An 8-goal thriller, including great drama at the end, a former Peel player coming back to haunt his former club to get an equaliser. Peel 4, Ayr United 4, Tony.
Yeah, I think Lewis Moran got in his car pretty handy and drove out of Peel because, for all that happened, you don't want an ex-player who played for you last year to score the goal that shares the points. But yeah, it was a terrific game, and started off really well. Jamie Callister it was with the first goal. Good ball into him, corner I think it was, and Jamie was there, rose above everybody, Peel defence, and headed it past the keeper. But then Thomas Brown capitalised on a bit of a mistake by Lewis Trevergertha. He wasn't too sure what was, well, it wasn't Lewis, it was Lewis, sorry, and he wasn't too sure what he was going to do, but Thomas picked it up, and he saw the goalkeeper sort of sway a little bit to the right, and he put it to the goalkeeper's left hand side, and good finish by him. But then it was only a couple of minutes after that Sean Kelly got one, and this time I think it was Chris Duggan crossed it in, and it was a good header by Sean. He did it, finished it really well, but probably the man today who really dug deep for his club was Matthew Woods. He was all over the park, and it was a corner down the bottom side, golf course end, and swerving left footer straight over the top, and there was Matthew Woods with a real powerful header. Nathan Tier stood no chance, and then it was sort of just ticking along nicely, but then Matthew Woods got a goal near enough to start the second half. I think it was about 6-7 minutes into it. Another good header. Whether that was better than the first, I don't know. All the goals today were quite good, but Thomas Brown, then good work down that right hand side, ball into Thomas Brown, and he finished it off to make it 4. And just Ayr United look dead and buried because they couldn't sort of get anything going up front. But then Sean Kelly, I think, got a glance to it, and he managed to get the ball in, and Phil Duniger's sending off then. I think it was 2 bookings, so the referee's no choice to give him the card. And you think, Peel are going to be home and hosed here. But it was Lewis Moran, 2 or 3 minutes from the end, and just inside the penalty area, struck it well, and goalkeeper stood there, no chance, and 4-4 it was. Great game. Great game to watch. The first half wasn't as good as the second half, but it had so much drama on it because Ayr were leading all the time, and suddenly Peel were leading by 2 goals, and then Ayr showed great character towards the end. Ayr disappointed today. I think they'll put their hands up and say they didn't play as well, but the young players for Peel, certainly Izzy Dunn, I thought played really well. Scott Horn was busy. I think he created 2 goals, and Thomas Brown is an absolute pain because he's so good in front, in that right through that middle. Rhys Oates feeds the ball through to him. Good movement down the right hand side and left hand side, but he's got so much pace. He gave Ayer's defence a torrid time late on in that second half, so well done to him.
And I suppose with all the entertainment, it doesn't actually, and this was the early stage of the season anyway, it doesn't actually really tell us anything about where this top flight battle could go, because there's also a result that we have to factor in elsewhere, which we'll come to in just a moment. The top place at Bala Fletcher We don't know anything further, do we?
Well, we don't, and I know the game you're talking about. Well, let's have a look at Laxey as well, because, Laxey have had another good result today. Clean sheet as well, so Johnny Palmer will be impressed with that one. But it was a great day, I think, for Manx football. Big crowd there at Peel. It was ding-dong. There was chances here, there, everywhere. There was drama. The referee was on his own, and I thought Ollie Johnson did really well in that middle because it was so quick to deal with. And, credit to Peel. And last week I said to you, Rob, I didn't think Peel were at their best. But certainly today they were at their best, and right the way through the whole team. They worked so hard, and, with the young players that they've got there, they're only going to go one way, and that's better players. So, look out towards the end of the season. This is going to be a fight for everyone to try and win this trophy.
Spoil shared then between Peel and Ayr United. Well, elsewhere at Ballafletcher, Corinthians beating Onken by 5-2, Tony. And by the quick calculations I've just put down with regards to the Premier League table, that will be after this weekend. Peel top on 13 points. Corinthians moving into second on 12. Ayr United moving down to third in 10, but with a game in hand. Yeah,
and what you got to look at now, Rob, we're coming up, I think it's next week, fifth game for some of them, sixth game. And now we start talking about the Plum Properties Railway Cup now, because that's on Boxing Day. So every point is valuable. And you look at Uni Mills drop points today, Russian drop points, so a little bit more pressure on them. Laxey were under pressure and now have started picking up some points, so they're looking to get into that 4. Ramsey just can't buy a win, can they? So, it's full on. It's great to see, and I just hope when the weather changes and we start getting all this rain in, that it doesn't spoil the continuity of the games, and we can just keep this good flowing football going.
Indeed, and you mentioned Laxey just a moment ago. We'll come to them now because this is another big result for them. They beat Corinthians 4-1 last weekend, and up against an informed Union Mills. They've done a right job at Gary Moore today. A big result, beating Union Mills by 5-0.
Yeah, big result, and to do it at Gary Moore as well just sort of rubs it a little bit more in, doesn't it? But today, again, when you look at, you've got quality players. Joe Walters in there after coming back from injury, start the season, which is good. Ben Wazza, not available today for FC Isle of Man, but George Burrows on the score sheet as well. Tom Cowan, Aaron Bradley, terrific results, and a clean sheet as well. Will please Johnny Palmer. But Uni Mills, that good start, it's just gone a little bit for them, hasn't it? But I'm sure Ryan Kelly and the team will get that back.
Those are your results in the Canada Life Men's Premier League. Centre Ardern and Drug Unlimited Division 2. And Castletown up against Pulrose United. Castletown beating Pulrose United by 3-1.
Yeah, and it was a good performance by Castletown, I believe. Josh Glover with a goal. Ollie Shearer got one. Nathan Cardy on the score sheet as well. I haven't got Pulrose United's goal scorer, but Castletown, that's better from them. That'll give the rest of the players confidence and try and push up that league.
And elsewhere, Colby up against Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys. This is a very tight affair down at Station Fields, but Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys, the long journey worth it because Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys have won this one by 1-0.
Yeah, they have, and Ramsey Youth Centre relying once again on Ross Crawford. I've said it many times, but Ross Crawford was a defender at Jim's, and here he is scoring plenty of goals here for Ramsey Youth Centre, and they're well chuffed with that one. Got a bit of a match report on that one. Cracking Ross Crawford goal just on half time. The winner, plenty of chances both ends in a real ding-dong second half, but no more goals. Standing keeper Martin Tor, that'll be for Ramsey Youth Centre, did a great job with a clean sheet. But man of the match goes to Josh Edge at centre half in his first game for Colby this season. Really good team performance, and the youthy defence very strong indeed. And Josh Edge, as you will remember, prolific goal scorer for Colby. So today, good performance for him at the back.
And then at Victoria Road, Braddon starting the day top of Ardern Drug Limited Division 2. They will remain there. They extend their advantage at the top because their nearest challengers, Douglas High School All Boys, they didn't have a game this weekend. But Braddon getting the job done. They move 3 points clear, albeit having played now 2 games more than Old Boys, beating Governors Athletic by 7-1.
Yeah, I think I did a bit of team talk for them on this one because I just thought Governors would be a lot closer than that. But again, Braddon scoring plenty of goals. Joe Burrows got one. Terry Gow on the score sheet as well. Mark O'Neill got a goal. Dan Kinraid with a couple. Dylan Barton and Nick Harvey. So goals spread around for Braddon. Haven't got Governors Athletics goal scorer.
Well, Douglas High School Old Boys, they will be dropping down the table at least temporarily, because Michael United will leapfrog them into second after today's latest results. Another free-scoring performance from them. Michael United beating Douglas Royal by 5-0.
Yeah, it just shows what 7 days can do, can't it? Because Douglas Royal obviously beating Braddon last week, and Owen Hurt with 3. Well done, Owen. Sam Greasley got 1. Josh Harrison got the other one. So keep everybody happy, and Michael 5-0 winners.
So closing up at the moment at the top of Division 2, because Braddon, of course, had that setback against Douglas Royal last week. Michael United have been scoring goals for fun in the last couple of weeks. They hit 13 past Douglas and District 7 days ago. Douglas High School Old Boys with some ground to make up. And also, let's not forget, Ramsey Youth Centre and Old Boys with that win today as well. They will actually move to within 2 points of Old Boys as it stands.
Yeah, it's nice and tight. You like Division 2, don't you? Because every year when we're looking at it, who's going to win it? And this year is going to be more difficult as well. Don't count out Castletown. They'll get involved. Old Boys as well have got some really good young players there. We'll come to the combination score later on for Old Boys, but a terrific day for them there.
Indeed. Let's take a look through the combination leagues then. Canada Life Combination 1. Tony, we didn't have a result a few minutes ago for Ramsey versus Foxdale. Has there been any updates since then?
Nope, got nothing.
Yeah, if anyone has any details from that game in Canada Life Combination 1, Ramsey versus Foxdale, please do send us them through either via text or via WhatsApp 166 177. We'd love to hear from you. Elsewhere, St John's United 0, Russian United 3.
And that's all the information I've got on that one. I've got no goal scorers. That's unusual for Russian. Can be.
And then moving on, Moran 0, St Mary's 7.
Any goal scorers?
I do indeed. We did actually just get those sent through, so I do have that in front of us. Chris Dowling with 4 goals, and then there were goals from Chris Aspridge, Tom Callow, and Declan McKay as well.
Well done to them all. Good result.
Elsewhere in Canada Life Combination 1, another that we were waiting for
Got it.
results on, Ayr United versus Peel. Tony, do you have an update for us?
Yeah, just come in. Thanks very much, Colin. Ayr United 5, Peel 3. Combination Sean Brown, Jonathan Koroma, and returning Daniel Bell.
Very well.
Goal. So Ayr United 5, Peel 3.
And then a 9-goal thriller between Onken and Corinthians in Canada Life Combination 1. Onken 6, Corinthians 3, Tony.
And it was the goal scorers for Corinthians, because I haven't got Onken's, but it was Lee Ford with 1, Lewis Radcliffe with 1, and Archie Walter with a goal for Corinthians. So if you can text us through 166 177 with Onken's combination scorers, please.
And then Laxey versus Union Mills in Combination 1. It wasn't a great day for the Union Mills first team, but their combination getting a good result. Laxey 0, Union Mills 7.
Any goal scorers on that one, Rob?
No further information in front of me at the moment, so please, again, if you're listening out there and you do have any information on that game or any of the other games you may have heard where we're looking for a little bit more, please do text us or WhatsApp 166 177. Into Ardern and Drug Unlimited Division Combination 2 then. Pulrose United against Castletown. We understand it's been a home walkover to Castletown. Sorry, right. Pulrose United, I should say. My apologies.
Right, okay. Right, well, I haven't heard anything about that one. Okay.
Okay, we've actually just had a result through that we were waiting for. Thank you very much indeed. And that was in Canada Live Combination 1. It finished Ramsey 12, Foxdale 0. We don't have any details on goal scorers.
Yeah, I've just had that come through. Thanks, Dean, for that one. But yeah, just to confirm, it was Ramsey Comby 1-12-0. I've got a report on the Laxey game if you want it. First team.
But by all means.
Right. Laxey dominated form start to finish here against Union Mills. 2-0 at the break, thanks to goals from Aaron Bradley and Joe Walters. After the break, Union Mills reduced to 10 men in the 52nd minute when Nathan Yates got a second yellow card, and Laxey then took further control of the game and dominated more. 3 further goals from Ben Wazzer, George Burrows and a Tom Cowan, 2, and sealed it as a 5-0 win. So thanks to Dean Turton on that one.
Excellent. Thank you very much for the report. Indeed. Continuing then, in Ardern and Drug Unlimited Combination 2, we mentioned there, we understand Pulrose United awarded a home walkover against Castletown. Douglas and District versus Douglas Athletic. We were still waiting for any information there, Tony?
Got that one? Yeah, it was 5-1 to Douglas Athletic at half-time. Haven't got Athletics goal scorers, but for Douglas and District, as ever, thank you, Dave Matheson. Dom Quirk got 1. That's his 3rd in 3 games, so good shooting by him. And Robbie Hay got the other one, but obviously Douglas Athletic just a little bit too strong.
Indeed. Ramsey Youth Centre and Colby, do we have any further information there?
No, afraid not.
If you can, text us through 166 177. And then the other result that we brought you a couple of moments ago, Douglas High School Old Boys 10, Jims 1, and we do have the scorers in front of us. It was a hat-trick for Cam Brew, and then a brace for Robbie Ward, and then further goals from Tyler Latest Collister, Jack Adams, Ian Thompson, and Steve Fargo as well. So big win there for Douglas High School Old Boys 10.
Yeah, that's a belter, and I think it was pretty well even right the way through both halves. They were scoring right from the start, so Old Boys mean business in this combination too.
Indeed. And then Governors Athletic versus Braddon. Braddon doing a job in the Combination League as well. Only just, though, this time, beating Governors Athletic by 4-3.
Certainly was. And Jeff Murphy with 2, Callum Murphy with 1. I don't know if they're related. Adam Fair from the penalty spot. Well done, Shearer. And 4 Governors. Thanks, Simon, for putting the scores through. It was Dan Matthews with 1. Adji, I think it is, Johnson with a goal. And Tom Davies scored from the penalty spot.
And then last but certainly not least, in the Alabama Football Leagues today, Douglas Royal 1, Michael United 9, Tony.
Yeah, and highest score of the day in this one, Nathan Farragher with 6. We've got Chris Padden with 1, Josh Birch got a goal, and Rob Farragher, well done Rob, with a goal there as well. Haven't got Douglas Royal's goal scorer.
Excellent. Well, if you've heard any of those results out there that we are requiring just a couple more details on, please do let us know. 166 177. Well, Tony, before we let you go, we'll just have a quick word really on that FC Isle of Man result. I know you've been very busy over at that Peel versus Ayr United game today, but for FC Isle of Man, they went into this weekend on a 6-match unbeaten run, targeting a 4th straight win, facing a West Didsbury and Chorlton side who haven't played too many games in the league, played the fewest actually going into this weekend, only 8 games because of respective cup commitments. They had a very memorable tie against National League Northside Darlington last weekend on home soil, only just lost that 2-1. Well, FC Isle of Man's unbeaten run brought to an end this afternoon. A very late goal in the 85th minute, putting West Didsbury and Chorlton over the line, shall we say, to take all 3 points for FC Isle of Man. It's not been a good place for them to go record-wise. That's now 4 straight defeats at that particular venue. Yeah,
and I think it's one of those, isn't it? And I don't know, Rob, you've got a far better memory than me, but if you think back about the same stage last year, it was the same story, wasn't it? Where they could have won the game today and maybe have gone into 4th place in the league. And it was a similar story last year, and it didn't happen. But, the performance has been really good because at the start of the season, there wasn't a lot of change in the squad, but lately there has been. A lot of young players have come in and done really well, and today it didn't quite go for them, but trailing 1-0, Jack McVeigh sort of gets them back into 1-1. I think Paul Jones would have settled for that, but unfortunately for them, as you rightly say, late on in the game, 85th minute, they've conceded, which is disappointment, but they've got more games to come, and then they're back at home on the 5th of October. Looking forward to that one, but let's say that the improvement from the start of the season has been 100%. It's been remarkable, and today they knew it was going to be a tough game against a side that they just can't sort of get it over the line and take the points away from them.
Well, here's an interesting thing of this particular fixture at the Step Places Stadium. That is now the 3rd consecutive game at the Step Places Stadium that has finished 2-1 to West Didsbury and Chorlton. And all 3 of those, West Didsbury and Chorlton have scored their winner within the last 10 minutes.
Okay, Stato. Well, there you go, and that's what
I've got a plethora of screens in front of me that the listener can't see out there. So I'm not. I'll be honest there. I'm not going to say it's some sort of power of the mind.
A power of the mind to use the machines in front of you. So you crack on. But no, it's credit to them, and all they've got to do is pick up. I take it they've got a midweek game again this week coming up, and then another game on the Saturday, is it? So it's just a question of forget this one, move on to the next one, and I think all round it's been a good start now. The games that they've played, when you look collectively at them all, they've done really well to get themselves back into that top half.
Well, if you're speaking of games there, yes, they do have a midweek game. They're away at Abbey Hay on Tuesday night at 7:45pm before they're back on the road again next weekend away at Barnoldswick Town. Yeah,
there's one at Barnoldswick Town started off really well to the season as well, and they've gone off a little bit. They had a big defeat in the cup, but now when you look at Ramsbottom that's coming up, it's amazing, Rob, how these fixtures work out, because they only played Ramsbottom a couple of weeks ago, didn't they? 2 or 3 weeks ago, and here they are, the next one come up. So I find it hard to understand how they sort of get them so close together, but there must be a reason. Travel, not too sure.
Very busy indeed. Well, Tony Mepham, thank you very much indeed.
Manx Radio Sport.
Well, that's the footballing action that's been taking place throughout the day. We're now going to turn our attention to rugby. What was a very busy weekend, and one of the headlines was the Vagabonds ladies were starting their season in the Women's NC2 North-South Division. After a difficult last campaign points-wise, there were plenty of positives being taken, and going into this opening game today against Lee, plenty of optimism for the Manx side. Elsewhere, two tough tests for Douglas and Vagabonds men, respectively. Douglas in Regional 2 Northwest travelling to Eccles, and Vagabonds with the daunting task of welcoming Counties 3 ADM Lancashire Cheshire leaders Garstang to Bala Fletcher. Not only that as well, domestic competition got underway today as well in the form of the Manx Shield, and a cracking tie on paper this was. Southern Nomads at Ballakilya Park hosting the defending champions Ramsey, and now with a chance to go through everything with us is our rugby correspondent Dave Christian. Dave, very good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Rob. I'm going to start with Vagabonds ladies, since that's how you led in. The optimism that you spoke of was sadly misplaced. The game hasn't gone well for them today. They did score 6 tries, but unfortunately Lee scored a lot more. The final score over there only just come in. The game was a late kickoff. It's Lee 73, Vagabonds 36. For Vagabonds in there was a hat-trick from Bliss Murtagh, 2 from Malin Campbell, 1 from Becky Dunn, and 3 conversions from Sammy McDonald. So not the start Coach Jack Kane was hoping for, but it's early days yet, and I think we've seen last season Vagabonds ladies did start again sluggishly, and towards the end of the season their performances were picking up, and they finished off with 1 win right at the end of the season. We were there for that for Saturday Live against Eccles, but today not good news for them. 73-36 the final score there at Lee. But on the plus side, they did score 6 tries. That's going to give them a bonus point as well. So fingers crossed for better results. As Jack Kane said in preview last night, that they've got a 3-week break now till the next game, so he can make his notes and plan out what he wants to work on to try and improve that performance. But yeah, final score over there in Lee. Lee 73, Vagabonds 36. In Regional 2 Northwest, Douglas defeated at Eccles, 33-28, the final score over there. A hat-trick from Eccles wing Gavin Ackers-Johnson was the big difference between the two teams. Eccles led 19-7 at half-time, 2 tries from Ackers-Johnson in the first half, 1 from Eccles centre Byron Reid, and 2 conversions from Daniel Holland. Sam McCord crossed for Douglas, that was converted by Bryn Snellgrove, that kept them in touch for the second half. They added to their tally in the second half with tries from Cal Dentith, Kyle Martin and Liam Kirkpatrick. Bryn Snellgrove made it a full house, 4 from 4 with the boot, 3 more conversions for him. But Chris Thomas had crossed for Eccles, and Gavin Ackers-Johnson went over for his hat-trick. 2 conversions there for Will Parkinson. Douglas do, however, pick up 2 bonus points, and they could be very, very important come the end of the season. You pick up a bonus try if you lose and finish within 7 points of the opposition, and you pick up another bonus point if you score 4 tries. So 4 tries there for Douglas this afternoon. That's a little bit of a sweetener for them, but they'll be disappointed. Eccles playing very, very similar to them, and I think the reverse fixture at Portishead later on in the season might well be slightly different. Garstang, the unbeaten league leaders in Counties 3, ADM, Lancashire and Cheshire, beat Vagabonds 42-24 at a very sunny Bala Fletcher. Unfortunately for Vagabonds, a slow start again. Garstang raced into a 28-0 lead. Despite that, that big deficit, the Vagabonds squad knuckled down, but unable to recover from the early blows. For Vagabonds, Tom Gascoigne bagged a hat-trick from the back row. Archie Benson added the 4th try, which, as I've just mentioned with Douglas, secures a try bonus point. And Cam Finley converted 2 from 4. So Douglas and Vagabonds not going so well in the early stages of the English Clubs Championship, with 3 from 3 defeats for both sides. Finally, in the Manx Shield, it was a cracking game down there. I went down to Port Erin, or all the way down to Port Erin, I should add. And it was a really interesting game. Ramsey chased the scoreboard for much of the afternoon, and a late try from scrum half Sam Corlett finally made the game safe for them. There were tries for Rob Crane and Connor Garland for Southern Nomads, plus a Mark Young conversion. That gave them a 12-7 half-time lead, with Jacob Catine crossing for Ramsey's reply and Josh Lease adding the conversion. In the second half, Jacob Catine's brother Josh put one over for Ramsey. That levelled the scores at 12-12, 7 minutes into the second half. But it was Rob Crane across for Nomads again to get his second of the afternoon. That put Nomads in front. Ramsey then levelled. It was Josh Katina in for his second after Nomads were pinned back in their own 22 for a period of about 10 minutes. Game tied at 17-17 with about 20 minutes to go, and then it was Michael Crane for Southern Nomads. He went over for his second of the day. That was converted by Mark Young, and Nomads then had a 7-point lead with 13 minutes left to play. That didn't last very long. Danny Howard raced down the left wing pretty much from the restart after Crane's try. He went in to score. The conversion was missed, and Nomads led 24-22 with 7 minutes left. Nathan Robson then slotted a penalty for Ramsey. That put them in front by a point. And with just 3 minutes left on the clock, Sam Corlett went in for a try to make it 30 points to 24. So for Nomads, they picked up 2 bonus points from that one. They scored 4 tries and finished within 7. But that'll be interesting for the rematch later on in the season, because that was a very tough game for Ramsey. They were missing a few players, to be fair, but Nomads didn't take any notice of that. They just played their own game and very nearly upset the apple cart there. The final score there, Southern Nomads 24, Ramsey 30.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. And before we let you go, just a couple of quick questions. We'll start with Douglas. Now, obviously, late heartbreak for them, really, last weekend against Widnes, and close but no cigar against Eccles today. What do you think is the reason that Douglas aren't just quite getting things over the line, despite clearly being quite competitive in the last few fixtures?
Yeah, well, talking to Coach Phil Kringle, he figures that their preparation was probably wrong. They didn't train hard enough in terms of fitness, and they didn't get much in the way of pre-season games as warm-ups. That said, they've been very, very competitive in all 3 games. I think they've got 2 losing bonus points. That means they've finished within 7 points of the opposition on 2 occasions already. To me, that senses, or I sense that a coach doesn't have that much work to do. They're not too far away from turning a corner. And we've heard news today that Nathan Robson from Ramsey, the scrum half, he played at fullback for Ramsey this afternoon. That was his final game. He's transferring to Douglas in the very near future. That might give them a little bit of a spark at scrum half. It's going to be a big step up for him in terms of levels. But and no disrespect to Brendan Kelly, who's been playing scrum half for Douglas, but I think Nathan Robson might give them a different attitude, certainly around the base of the scrummage. That might be just the little key they need to turn the corner.
And on the subject of the 2 Vagabonds teams, we'll start with Vagabonds ladies. As you've mentioned, Dave, I think you put it that maybe some of the optimism not quite completely in the right place up against a Lee team that have put over 70 points past them today, but plenty of points on the board for Vagabonds ladies as well. What do you think they'll have learnt from this particular trip?
Yeah, it's very difficult when it's the first game of the season, because you don't get a real feel for what sort of form there is. You don't get a feel for who is and isn't on form in terms of individual players. We know that Malin Campbell is a big player for Vagabonds, but Griba Tazia was missing as well. She's out representing the Solomon Islands in international competition. So I think Griba Tazia coming back in will give them a little bit of a boost up front. And they really will need to tighten up on their defence. But again, Vagabonds ladies, similar to Douglas's men, there's very little in the way of pre-season preparation. And given that they're the only ladies team on the island, they can't even really pick up a friendly here. So it's always going to be difficult for them at the start. We figure that, well, maybe if we keep our fingers crossed, the results will improve. Lee could well be the form team in the league, and if that's the case, then fair play. Vagabonds have still got the opportunity to pick up other wins.
And finally, just looking to Vagabonds men, I think we all looked at this on paper on Friday Sport Preview last night and saw how imperious Garstang's record was coming to Bala Fletcher. Garstang taking victory against Vagabonds. It's another defeat for Vagabonds, but looking at the scoreline, do you think that's quite respectable given how Garstang have been scoring for fun in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I mean, if they shipped 28 points early on, and that's what I've heard from Vagabonds this afternoon, the players need to be a little bit more focused at the start. Garstang will have come here. They'll have been aware of Vagabonds' earlier defeats. They'll have been optimistic about it. And of course, when you've got 2 wins behind you with maximum points, you've got a little bit of an extra spring in your step. That will have helped Garstang today, no doubt. But Vaggers, they've got the squad they've got. It's not likely to get too much stronger. We did see Ed Knight on the bench for them today. Now, Ed was with Western Vikings last season, so he looks like a player who might be making the step up. And the RFU have new player registration rules this season, which means that you can be registered for 2 clubs, particularly down at the lower levels. So there's nothing wrong there with any of the players from the island clubs, either Ramsey Western Vikings or Southern Nomads, actually dual registering with Vagabonds and getting a bit of league experience. And I think if that continues, we might see a couple of other players drift in to play the odd little cameo for Vagabonds. May not help them in the long term. In the long term, you need consistent team selection, and you need the same team week in, week out, and that builds up their skill levels and their confidence levels. But there's a little glimmer of hope potentially if we do get some dual registrations happening, and maybe things can pick up a little bit for Vagabonds.
Dave Christian, thank you very much indeed.
Manx Radio Sport.
Well, finally this evening we're going to be turning our attentions to hockey and game week 3 of the 2024 mixed hockey season across the Isle of Man, and joining us as usual is our hockey correspondent Ben Cunningham. Ben, another busy day.
Yeah, another busy day. I've been all the way to Ramsey, so I didn't quite pass Dave on the way, but yeah, I've been up Ramsey while he's been down south.
Let's keep it cool. It's not a competition here. So how far our correspondents go distance-wise. Anyway, let's bring it back to the results at hand. We'll go to the Mixed Premier League to start with, and actually it's quite funny that we have this. I just happen to have this at the top of my page because, Ben, you pointed this out as possibly a game of the day to watch and a potential indicator in the battle for survival very early on in the Mixed Premier League. Harlequins A up against Valkyries B at King William's College, 12:35 pushback, and Harlequins A with a big victory today, 5-0 winners.
Yeah, Oren Blakemore with 2, Alfie Swales with 1, Cameron Room with 1, and Ronan Santanantolio with 1. A great result there for Harlequins, just what they wanted over potentially a team that they could be fighting with come near the end of the mixed season.
Then there were 3 games pushing back at 2:05 in the Mixed Premier League. The first of those, an intra-club derby between Backers A and Backers B. Backers A, well, they will now remain at the top of the Mixed Premier League. 3 wins from 3. 8-2 winners over their B team.
Yeah, for Backers B, it was Luca Pilato and Sophie Hudson. And then for Backers A, it was George Harrison, Lucy Kinraid, Martha Broadrich, Callum Robb, Doug Quayle with 2, and Andy Whiting with 2. But a big result, a good result there for Backers A that keeps them top of the league.
And that's now 24 goals in 3 games, and they've only conceded 4.
Yeah, so it's a statement to all the teams in this league that if you're going to want to beat us, you're going to have to stop us from scoring first.
Well, to put that into perspective, the next nearest in terms of goals scored is Vikings A, and they've only got half of that on 12, and we're going to come to them in a moment. But we'll turn our attentions first to the defending champions Valkyries A up against Vikings B at QE2 in Peel this afternoon. Valkyries A, they've managed to get the job done, but only just today, Ben. They've beaten Vikings B 1-0.
Yeah, and it was Ollie Webster with the goal for Valkyries, and I have had a report from the Vikings B captain, and he said to give the Valkyries A goalkeeper June Belando an absolute massive shout out. Definitely man of the match today. Pulled off some worldy of the saves today, is his words that he's put in the message. But yeah, Valkyries A keep their 100% record.
Indeed, as you say there, the Valkyries A, they join Backers A on 3 wins from 3, as do Vikings A. They've made it 3 wins from 3. They've beaten Castletown Celts at Castle Rushen High School today by 4-2. And Ben, this has been a tricky tie at times for Vikings A in the past, but getting the job done today. Yeah,
like we say, in the last few seasons, Castletown Celts have ran Vikings quite close, and today Vikings getting one over. I mean, 4-2, it does sound a close game that it's been had. For Vikings, it was Alex Andrews with 3 and Will Bridson with 1. And then for Castletown Celts, it was Corbin Stewart and George Powell. But like you say, that keeps Backers A, Valkyries A and Vikings A all on 100% records. Castletown Celts sadly losing their 100% record today.
Indeed. Well, moving on to Mixed Division 1, and one of the early pushbacks, 12:35, the NSC was Vikings D up against Backers C. Vikings D, 2 defeats in their opening 2 games. Backers C right at the other end, 2 wins from their opening 2, the only team with a 100% record start the season in Mixed Division 1. They've extended that today. It's now 3 wins from 3, beating Vikings D by 7-2.
Yeah, Bacchus C really making a good statement in this early part of the season. Jack Grimley with 3, Alex Stewart with 2, and Will Wiseman with 2. And then for Vikings D, it was Danny Kane with 2. Just Vikings, just at the minute, just can't seem to find their feet in this league. But hopefully things will improve for them.
Long way to go, of course, in the season. And next up was a meeting of 2 C teams, Vikings C and Valkyries C at QE2 in Peel. Both sides came into this with a win and a defeat under their belts, but Vikings had the slightly worse off defensive record, conceding 14 goals compared to Valkyries 5. That's maybe been a bit of the difference today, because Vikings C have lost out to Valkyries C by 3-1.
Yeah, like you say, Vikings C did have the worst defence coming into this game, and maybe it might have been that today, we just don't know. For Vikings C, it was Nathan Evans, and then for Valkyries C, it was the Thomas family making the headlines. Chris Thomas with 2 and Molly Thomas with 1.
And the other game in Mixed Division 1 saw a meeting of Castletown Southerners and Ramsey A, 2 sides very much with potential promotion in their sights. Ramsey A relegated from the top flight last season. Castletown Southerners just missing out on promotion in the last campaign. This could be a very early indicator as to where these two might be come the end of the season, both trying to challenge Bacchus C at the top. Castletown Southerners have struck the first blow between these two sides. They've beaten Ramsey A by 4-1. And Ben, long way to go in the season, but for these two teams pushing for promotion, how important could that result be down the line?
That could be a massive result, like you say. These two definitely will be looking to get that promotion. But yeah, Southerners coming out on top today, 4-1 over Ramsey. I know I was speaking to a couple of people at Ramsey today at the games I've covered, and they were saying that all 3 teams this weekend had struggled to with players missing, just being unavailable, or other commitments or injuries. So, you know, Ramsey, they might have lost this one, but they might get their team back to full strength for the next time when they meet. We wait and see. Ned McGregor with 2, Zoe Shimmin-Man with 1, and Caitlin Williams with 1 for Southerners. And then for Ramsey, it was Vic Garner.
And then to Mixed Division 2, and the early pushback 11:05 saw Valkyries D up against Harlequins B at QE2 in Peel. And Harlequins B, well, they will go into the rest of the forthcoming week top of the standings in Mixed Division 2. They'll leapfrog Bacchus Colts, because it's now 3 wins from 3. Perfect start for Harlequins B, and a big result today, beating Valkyries D 7-0.
Yeah, Valkyries D, just at the minute, just not quite gelling. They were really good last season, and I don't know whether they've lost some players or they've just got a new formation going at the minute. It's just not working for them. But they, like we say, it's early stages in the season. Anything could happen. But for Harlequins, a 7-0 win today. Corey Corkill with 2, Ethan Skillicorn with 1, Emma Worsford with 1, Tom Hurd with 1, Killian Sharkey with 1, and Elliot Henson with 1. We've been asked to give him best wishes for a speedy recovery. Unfortunately, he scored and then his hamstring went.
Never a nice feeling. No, get well soon, absolutely. Well, Castletown Camags were up against Ramsey Ravens at Ramsey Grammar School. Ben, in the 12:35 pushback that you wrote earlier today, Castletown Camags, well, they leaped their fellow Castletown side, Cushags, up into 3rd in the league because they beat Ramsey Ravens by 4-1.
Yeah, this was a really good game. Of course, this was the first of 2 games we covered with Paul Moran on Saturday Live. And it really was competitive in the first half. Ramsey Ravens goalkeeper today, for me, was man of the match. He really kept the score down, because by half-time, Camags could have been at least 6 or 7 up. But 1-1 it went into at half-time. And then in the second half, Castletown just proved to be more wanting the game. And Ravens just sadly just ran out of pace in their team. For Ravens, it was Dan Cross, former Castletown player, I must say. And for Castletown Camags, it was Eden McCubbin with 2, Alistair Ledridge with 1, and Elliot Butler with 1. But good result there for Camags. Unfortunately, Ravens just not quite finding their feet again today.
And the other game in Mixed Division 2 was a late pushback, 3:35 at the NSC, and that saw Castletown Cushags up against Bacchus Colts. Bacchus Colts started the weekend at the top of the league on goal difference ahead of Harlequins B, but Harlequins B taking victory, they move up to the top on 6 points. Bacchus Colts only managing 1 point today. They've been held to a goalless draw by Castletown Cushags.
Yeah, and you don't see many goalless draws in Manx hockey, and this has definitely been a surprise for me. I thought this would be a close game, and it might just come down to maybe 1 goal between the two sides, but 0-0, and the reports from both captains were both keepers just had an absolutely outstanding day.
Excellent. Well, last but certainly not least in the senior leagues, moving on to mixed division 3, and there were 2 early pushbacks at 11:05. One of those, Vikings E, top of the table at the moment on goal difference, 2 wins from 2 in their opening 2 games, up against Backers Mixed Bucks, newly formed this season and already with a victory under their belt, including 1 defeat as well. Well, Vikings E, they are maintaining their status up towards the top of the table. I say up towards, and we'll come to the reason why in a second. They are now 3 wins from 3, just beating Backers Mixed Bucks, I should say, 4-3.
It's a tongue twister saying that, isn't it, Rob? But yeah, Backers Mixed Bucks really are making a statement for their first season.
They've got to counter themselves against the Vikings E side towards the top as well.
Yeah, and we must make the point that Vikings E were relegated from Division 2 last season, so they've really ran Vikings E really close today. For Vikings E, it was Jacob Harding with his with a hat trick, and Ollie Nandu, and then for Backers Mixed Bucks, it was Alice Kearns with 2, and Ashley Sanford Sykes with 1. But yeah, Backers Mixed Bucks really are making a good statement here, and they could be underdogs here. Let's not rule them out. It's early stages, but they could be underdogs come the end of the season.
We'll keep saying it's a long way to go this season. Well, we said Vikings E there towards the top. They started the weekend top of the table. Well, they have been usurped at the top this weekend because Castletown Cosney, who were only behind them on goal difference after 2 wins from 2, they've taken a commanding 6-1 victory over Backers D at Castle Rushen High School in the other early pushback at 11:05 today. Castletown Cosney go top of the table, Ben.
They go top of the table, like you say. Jamie Cox with 2. Kean Collister with 2, Dan Stewart with 1, and Sophie Pfeiffer with 1. And then for Backers, it was Christian Davies, but Cosney go top.
Indeed, and lastly, in Mixed Division 3, Harlequin C up against Ramsey Rookies. Ben, you were at this game as well, and Harlequin C, their first win of the season at the second attempt, beating Ramsey Rookies 3-1.
Yeah, really good game. This was really entertaining, end-to-end stuff, and Harlequin's coming out with the win there. For Ramsey Rookies, it was Chris Wells, and for Harlequin C, it was Killian Sharkey, Josh Halumbi, and some fellow called Ben Cunningham.
Wonder who that might be.
I don't know, but yeah, first game back since January, so it was a bit of a tough one, but it was good to be back on the pitch this weekend.
I should have seen the signs were there. You are there in a Harlequin shirt as well. You come straight from your game, to be fair. Okay. Last but certainly not least tonight in hockey, we had 3 games in the mixed under-15s league. All were later pushbacks at 3:35. At QE2, Castletown Sharks 0, Valkyries 2.
Yeah, really good result there for Valkyries. Castletown Sharks have given them a good game there. It was Ria Mayer with 1 and Ryan Thomas with 1.
And then over at Ramsey Grammar School, it finished Ramsey 2, Harlequins 3.
Yeah, this league's looking really close in the junior league. For Ramsey, it was Ollie Gimbel and Cam Ears. And then for Harlequins, it was Sam Neto, Benji Barber and Sophie Knightham on her first under-15s game.
And we also had Castletown Sabres 0, Vikings 2.
Yeah, and for Vikings, it was Theo Roberts with 1 and Emily Jacobs with 1. But good result there for Vikings, keeping them in the fight of this league.
And not next week, but the weekend after, we understand the dates were confirmed that it's not just going to be league matters. The cup competitions are going to be starting in a fortnight's time.
Absolutely, yes. So the draw has been done. It's up on Manx Radio's website if you'd like to catch up on it. There's some very tasty ties being pulled out of the hat, which was done at the MHA board meeting last week. But yeah, really looking forward to that weekend. Some really good ties. I think for me, the standout fixture is in the cup, and it's the replay of the final we had last season between the current Premier League title holders, Valkyries A, against the cup holders, Backers A.
Indeed it is. Well, yeah, as Ben rightly mentioned there, if you want to take a look at the first round draw for the Isle of Man Hockey Mixed Cup competitions, head on over to the Manx Radio Sports Hub at manxradio.com. Well, Ben, thank you very much indeed. And just finally this evening, we're going to turn our attentions to some big news that took place this week. If you hadn't seen already, some major news emerged this week with regards to the 2026 Commonwealth Games. This week, the Scottish Government approved financial backing for a scaled-down event to take place in Glasgow in just under 2 years' time after the original host Victoria State in Australia withdrew in July last year. Well, I spoke this week with Isle of Man Commonwealth Games Association President Basil Bielich, as well as the Isle of Man's team's chef de mission Erica Bellhouse, to get their thoughts on these developments. performance?
I think from our point of view is it's a big relief. I think we were confident that the Commonwealth Games would carry on, but would it be in 26 or possibly 27? We know the Commonwealth Games Federation team, and led by Chris Jenkins, has been doing a lot of work behind the scenes with a number of countries. We were aware of the Scottish interest in it. Ian Reid, who ran the Birmingham Games, is now with CGA Scotland. So he was the main driver behind it, and he's got a lot of experience in running games. So I'm sure even though it's a scaled down games, it'll be a very good games. So we're really happy with the whole announcement.
How much of a relief and excitement do you think this will be to the likes of the Manx athletes who will now have that vision to aim for?
As we all know, the Commonwealth Games is the pinnacle of a lot of athletes' sporting careers representing the Isle of Man. It's the highest level that an athlete can get to, wearing the Isle of Man colours. So I think it's a huge relief. I think they've been in limbo and knowing that they should carry on training, but it's now they've got the motivation to go for the games. And those athletes who can adapt to the short time period will be the ones that will thrive in the next year.
We understand it'll be a scaled down event, 10 sports being reported, as opposed to, say, 18, as was the case in, let's say, Birmingham in 2022. What do you make of that?
I think, obviously, I'll feel disappointed for the sports that aren't in the games, but we've been told that the more traditional sports that have been in most games will be in Glasgow. I'll feel sorry for those that miss out the opportunity, but it is a scaled-down games, and hopefully the main sports are there.
Like you say, the sports that would actually be involved are not confirmed yet, but there may have to be some difficult conversations, like you say, that yourselves in the CGA or coaches or managers may have to have going forward.
Yes, I think so. I think from our point of view, it's the sooner they let us know what sports they're going to be. I know we've got a big regional meeting in early October, and hopefully things will be a lot more clearer then. And we hopefully be able to make announcements about which sports and team sizes maybe in the second week of October. So things are going to have to move really quickly.
Great news for our athletes. Still lots of questions out there. We've been given limited information, so we know that there'll be 10 sports, but we don't know what those sports will be. But as I say, all positive, really good news. And hopefully our athletes, once we know the sports, our athletes have got something really positive to work towards.
Give us an idea as well of what it means to these athletes, the fact that the Commonwealth Games is the highest level at which you can compete in the Manx colours.
Oh, I think it's hard to put into words, Rob. I mean, you were obviously in Birmingham, and the atmosphere in the village was just fantastic. The way that the Manx public get behind the team, it really is incredible.
We don't have any confirmation yet on what these 10 sports will be. Does that mean the likes of yourselves and the CGA might just have some difficult conversations to have with a couple of sports that will inevitably miss out?
Absolutely. And, you know, there's so many amazing sides to my role, but there's also some tough sides to it. We have to let people down, and that is horrible. But unfortunately, this is completely outside of our hands. We have no input into what those sports may or may not be. I think it's a fair assumption to assume that athletics and swimming will be involved, because they are obviously the two main core sports. After that, I have hand on heart no further information, but I think it's inevitable that some of our sports may not be included, and that is going to be some tough conversations to have. So
what would your advice to athletes be that have no idea whether their sport will or won't be in the 2026 Games?
Well, I'm going to reiterate the same conversation that we've had a few times in the last few months, Rob, and that is to just keep continuing as if their sport is included and they will be potentially available for selection. That is the only way that I believe any athlete can continue at this precise moment.
Isle of Man Commonwealth Games Association President Basil Bielich, and also the Isle of Man Commonwealth Games team chef de mission Erica Bellhouse there on the news this week of financial backing being approved for a scaled down Commonwealth Games to take place in Glasgow in 2026. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's all we have time for on Saturday Sports Classified. This episode will be available shortly after we have finished as a podcast as well. And if you want to catch up on any of the latest sports news, head to the Manx Radio Sports Hub at manxradio.com. We'll now be handing back over to Manx Radio Gold. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, bye for now.
Manx Radio Sport.